So a debate has been going around the internet about who would win in a fight. One gorilla versus 100 men.
Oh yeah, I've definitely heard of this one.
But I feel like I need more information. Like, where is this fight taking place? Is it in an arena? Obviously, everybody's unarmed. But is it in an arena? Is it in the woods? Can you pick up rocks and sticks and use them?
I mean, I think that's half the debate, but I think the most important thing is that everybody is equally committed.
Yes.
I keep hearing people being like, well, the gorilla's not going to want to fight, or like 100 men aren't going to want to fight this gorilla. That's pointless. Whoever is more committed to the fight is going to win.
Yeah, because I feel like there's a lot of people who would be like, 100 of us is overkill. I'm going to let like 40 of those very, dedicated guys. Those guys seem into it. I'll let them go fight the gorilla and I'm going to stand back. And I think if that happens, the gorilla is more likely to win. Everybody's got to be fully committed to taking down this gorilla.
Yeah, either everybody's got to be fully committed or nobody really wants this fight. Both of those are fine scenarios.
I don't think that's fine. If nobody wants this fight, then the gorilla's going to beat everybody up.
I don't know. I feel like if they'll just live peacefully if no one wants to fight.
Oh, if the gorilla doesn't want the fight either.
That's what I'm saying. Either both sides don't want this fight equally or both sides do want this fight equally.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most important thing.
Because I am pretty sure that if a gorilla saw 100 men running towards him, the gorilla would run.
Absolutely.
So it's got to be like a rage-filled, bloodlust-seeking gorilla that's going to take on 100 men.
100 rage-filled, bloodlust-seeking men.
Mm-hmm.
Reversing it, the rage-filled, bloodlust... raging... I can't even say that again. A raging, bloodlust-filled gorilla charging into a crowd of 100 men. The 100 men are going to run.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You can't just assume the humans are going to be like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, okay, so everybody needs to be equally committed or uncommitted. You are right, because if one of them is more determined, they're automatically going to win.
I think the only way the fight actually happens is if everyone is fully committed to this.
Yeah.
For some reason, we are life and death fight with this gorilla.
Now, what is the best way to take out a gorilla?
I mean, you swarm it, right?
Yeah, but how do you kill it barehanded? You gotta, like, go for the eyes or choke it to death? What do you think?
Okay, well...
Like, through the eyes to the brain. How do you do that barehanded, though?
I guess. I didn't even think about going for the eyes. You're more prepared for this than me.
Okay.
I assumed you'd swarm and pin and punch.
Okay, I guess that would take longer, I'm thinking, to pummel it to death, unless you can crush its skull. But I feel like a gorilla skull is very, very hard to crush.
Is it harder than a normal skull?
I feel like it's bigger and, like, thicker.
I know nothing about a gorilla's skull.
I saw one at the zoo. They have a display with a human skull, a gorilla skull, and a chimpanzee skull inside the ape house at the Detroit Zoo. It's bigger, but I also think the bone is thicker.
Oh, okay. I mean, that makes sense. The problem with the swarm is that enough men need to get hands on this gorilla to be able to overpower a gorilla.
100 men cannot all lay hands on a gorilla at once.
Correct. I don't know. I read on... I did a little bit of research on this, just because it's everywhere. And I read stats that say a gorilla is stronger than between, like, 10 and 20 men combined.
Okay.
And I think that 20 men was, like, tug-of-war stat.
Oh, okay.
Because that's usually how they figure out how much stronger an animal is. They put, the rope in their pen, and then they put a bunch of men on the other side.
I've seen them doing that with the tiger.
Yeah, with the tiger.
Yeah.
That's why I just assumed that's how they decided it with the gorilla. I saw no video evidence. I just saw some stats from gorilla-themed websites that said, a gorilla is stronger than, like, 20 adult men
Have
combined.
Scientists ever been like, okay, we're going to get a gorilla and make him lift heavy things until he can't? And done a real study on this?
I don't know.
That seems inhumane, but okay. But for science.
I mean, I'm sure there's ways you could do that without it being that inhumane. Yeah. Like, it wouldn't be that bad to have something heavy that the gorilla wants to lift up.
I mean, never mind that we're fighting a gorilla to the death, but making it do things for science experiments is inhumane.
It's not inhumane to make it fight to the death because it's equally inhumane to the humans, so it evens out.
Okay.
It's fair, right?
Someone on the internet says someone's got to make her sacrifice and shove their arm down the gorilla's throat and choke him and suffocate him, and that's how he's going to die.
Well, that's completely...
Someone's got to take the bullet and lose their arm, because there's no recovering your arm after that,
I think once your arm's in there, you're going to lose more than the arm.
Well, yeah, probably. So someone's gotta sacrifice themselves.
Someone, not me. Someone has to. That's how that one goes online.
And that's what nobody wants to be the person to shove their arm down a gorilla's throat to kill it. So that's why the humans are gonna lose.
That's why you gotta have everyone bloodlust raged. There's no more self-preservation.
Yeah, so if it's 100 one-on-one fights, man versus gorilla, I think the gorilla is mowing through those 100 men one at a time very easily.
How much tactics are the people allowed to use?
I think whatever tactics they want, but how much time ahead of time do they have to plan before the fight? Because if you're planning in the middle of the fight, that's not going to be as good.
So that's what I'm asking. Like, are the 100 humans allowed, like, a quick huddle or anything?
Yeah, let's say they are.
Gorillas are not persistence predators like humans are.
Mm-hmm.
They wear out a lot faster.
Yeah.
So, like, you've heard of people, like, chasing down a cheetah or something, like, just running after it for 3 miles and it collapses. If you're going one-on-one, your goal is not to charge at that gorilla. Your goal is to run away from that gorilla for as long as you can, and then the next guy does it, and the next guy does it, and we go long-term tactics here.
Yeah, okay, the first few guys are... Well, we're already gonna die.
It's one-on-one. We're committed to that. Luck of the draw. Okay, that's
because the gorilla is going to be faster than man over short distances. So those first few guys are taken out, but then as the gorilla starts to tire,
is a gorilla faster than a human over short distances?
I am fairly certain.
Over short distances, probably. Yes.
Humans aren't that fast.
No. Yeah, not over short distance. Well, short distances were not bad. I don't know. I know nothing about the speed of a gorilla. I only know very light, small things about the strength of a gorilla, right? Like, I think that's your strategy, though. One-on-one fights, you gotta wear the gorilla out. It's your only chance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think waves is ever the solution.
Oh, no. All at once, or, yeah.
All at once, or, I mean, one-on-one. It depends on the format, really.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a big room, I think your best option is to just swarm it and do as much damage to it as possible. Like you said, go for those eyes. It can't hit all of you at once.
Okay, so I think we're in agreement that the humans would win, but with heavy losses, right?
Yeah, I think that's just something the humans have accepted going into this fight.
Okay, now I think it's funny that we're having a debate of 100 humans against one gorilla, because they did a survey and 8% of Americans think that they can single-handedly beat a gorilla in a fight.
Okay, if it's single-handed, I want some tool.
I don't want to do it single-handed. I'm going to die.
I mean, it's not a choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if it's single-handed, I at least need, like, a sword or something, right?
I was going to say a gun, but I don't even know if a gun is enough.
If you have a gun, it's a fair fight or in your favor. That's not even a fight. That's hunting.
So they did a survey of Americans on what animals they think they could beat in a one-on-one fight.
Okay. Now, I'm going to say, if you give me a survey that's like, can you beat this animal in a fight, I'm going to round myself up just a lot. Just because I was like, why are you giving me this survey? Hell yes, I can fight that. A blue whale? I can kick that thing's ass.
On land, yeah, definitely.
Nah, I just hold my breath.
Okay.
Hold my breath. How long can a blue whale hold its breath? Like 15 minutes?
I don't know. Okay, but realistically, what do you think is the biggest, most impressive animal you could beat in a fight by yourself?
Okay.
With no weapons.
Okay, no weapons. Can't pick up a rock?
No.
Can't even throw my shoe at it?
No.
Okay. Now, biggest or most dangerous?
Either or.
Okay. Can I just pick a big, docile creature?
Okay, no, maybe we should go with most impressive, because I'm not going to be impressed if you beat up a dairy cow.
I don't know. More people die from cows than sharks every year.
True.
So like I said, like a big, docile creature. But no, like, you go after an herbivore, they don't play by the same rules as predators. Okay, realistically, I think it'd be about an even fight if I was going at a white-tailed deer. Maybe a buck. I know that doesn't sound... I know that doesn't sound impressive, but I don't know. I think that's about fair.
Okay, what about predator? Okay, white-tailed deer are very big, and horns
like
and hooves.
a Michigan white-tailed deer, not an Indiana white-tailed deer. I want a corn-fed strong white-tailed deer from Michigan.
Are Michigan deer bigger and better than Indiana deer?
They are.
Okay.
Screw your deer, Indiana.
Okay, what is the biggest predator-type animal you think you could take?
So I have heard online, once again, so I don't know if this is 100%, that an average man can evenly fight with a dog half his body weight.
Okay, I was gonna go with the dog a third my body weight.
Yeah.
So about 50 pounds.
Yeah, so I'm assuming...
50, yeah.
I'm going to be a little confident myself and assuming I win the 50-50 coin flip.
Okay.
So yeah, a small wolf.
Okay. So you're thinking like a 90 to 100 pound dog or wolf.
Yes.
Okay. I was thinking like a 50 pound dog is my limit, I think, because I worked with dogs at a vet clinic.
Mm-hmm.
I think I could beat a 50 pound dog.
Yeah, that's fair.
Bigger than that is iffy. Once you get above 80 pounds, no, they're taking me down. I don't weigh enough.
And I'm picking canine over cat. Right?
Yeah.
I feel like a cat is much better in a one-on-one fight. Canines need the pack.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I picked one of them in the one-on-one.
Okay, well, let's go down the list of what they used in the survey. Animals that Americans think they can beat in a fight. Do you think you could beat a rat?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, 72% of Americans think they could beat a rat, and I thought that was very low.
That's so low. I have beaten rats in fights.
Right?
You just pick it up. What are you doing? Like, not to the death. I just, like, there's a pet rat, you pick it up, and like, oh, I won.
What about a feral rat, though? You know, you're picking it up, it's biting you. I'm
still gonna win.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was a very 72% of Americans, which means, what is that? 28% don't think that they can.
I think 28% of Americans just don't want to touch a rat.
Yeah. I was like, I mean, assuming it doesn't have like rabies and you don't get infected when it bites you and then you die and haha, the rat wins.
Oh, I won the fight. It just took me with it.
Okay. Do you think you could beat a house cat?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I don't care how big and fat of a house cat it is. I will kick that thing's butt.
Even like a Maine Coon, which are a lot bigger.
How big do Maine Coons get?
I think like 30 to 40 pounds.
I can take it.
Yeah. 69% of Americans think that they can beat a house cat in a fight. I'm coming out with injuries.
Yeah. It's a fight. You come out with injuries, but no. When you told me 8% of Americans thought they could beat a gorilla at the start of this, I thought these people were going to have way more self-confidence.
It seems like 6 to 10% of the people are very, very confident, and the rest of the people are eh.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a little embarrassing, Americans. Come on.
Okay, do you think you could beat a goose?
Yeah.
An angry Canadian goose, a cobra chicken. Could you beat that in a fight?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you just grab it by the neck.
You grab it by the neck, you kick it. They're not that big.
No.
The reason geese win fights with humans is because the human does not want to hurt the goose.
That is true.
The goose is aware of this fact and will charge.
Gooses are not actually very scary.
No.
Coming from someone who worked on a farm for a while, too. They're not,
yeah.
I could take a goose, no problem.
Grew up on a lake. Like, they try to act tough, and then you just kind of shoo them and don't back up, and suddenly the goose is like, oh, fine.
All right, a medium-sized dog. Oh, wait, sorry. A goose. So 61% of Americans think they could beat a goose in a fight.
I'm so disappointed in that 39%.
All right, do you think you could beat a medium-sized dog?
Yeah. Okay,
we already talked. Yeah, we both think I could beat a medium-sized dog up to 50 pounds. You could do one up to like 100, probably. Yeah. 49% of Americans think they could beat a medium-sized dog.
I'm assuming medium is 30, 40 pounds.
Oh, okay. Could you beat an eagle in a fight?
Yeah, I could beat an eagle. No matter the size of the eagle, I think I could take an eagle. There's no eagle big enough to pick me up.
But talons and claws, and it's gonna blind you.
They gotta get close enough.
Okay.
They don't have any ranged weapons.
Only 30% of Americans think they could beat an eagle in a fight.
Okay, sure. This is so disappointing.
Next is a large dog. We already talked about that. We think you could beat a large dog. I'm a little iffy on if I could, but 23% of Americans think they could beat a large dog. I'm a little disappointed in
how big do dogs get?
working at a vet clinic.
Yeah.
The biggest dog we ever had was an Alaskan Malamute that weighed like 150 pounds.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't beat that. And that's a large dog.
Yeah.
So is there like an extra large dog category? Or
How much do Mastiffs weigh?
Yeah, I don't think I could beat a Mastiff.
Googling, sorry, hold on.
Now do it. Because, yeah, when you say large dog, I assume you just mean top fat tier dog. Okay,
Mastiffs weigh between 150 and 200 pounds.
Yeah, no. Those are used to hunt bears or something, aren't they?
Yeah. They have the lion hunting ones and then the bear hunting ones, I think. Yeah. So, what other Irish Wolfhound?
Yeah. I can't beat one of those either.
Okay, Irish Wolfhounds are between 140 and 180 pounds.
Yeah, once again, no.
Okay, so, yeah, I was like, large dogs can get pretty large, so... I don't think you could beat anything over like 100 pounds.
No, maybe. And I think that's when they're saying large dog, unless there's later in this list like an extra large dog section.
There is not.
Okay, then yeah, no, I can't beat a large dog.
Could you beat a chimpanzee in a fight?
Hell no.
Absolutely not, right? No. I'm like, oh no. Chimpanzees are terrifying. They are one of the more terrifying animals to fight, I think, because they will rip your face off and your genitals off and you bite your fingers off, and I'm terrified of chimpanzees.
No, all the worst stories of animal attacks are chimpanzees.
Right? But 17% of Americans think they could beat a chimpanzee in a fight.
Have the 17% never seen any of those documentaries about the weird lady who adopts the chimpanzee and then it turns on her?
Yeah, I know, right?
This is a thing that has happened multiple times.
I could beat a baby chimpanzee.
Sure.
Okay, king cobra.
Yes. Okay. It's either going to be a tie or a win in my favor.
Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah. I don't think there's any scenario where the king cobra is the only one that wins.
Yeah, I was like, all you gotta do is grab it by the tail and just on the ground.
Or, if you can.
Or just stomp it.
You stomp it so that you pin it down to the ground so that it can't bite you. That's the whole thing. It's all about that first move. Mm-hmm. And you try to pin down its head so it can't bite you, and then once you have it by the neck, you win against any snake.
Yes, but it might take you with it if you are not fast enough.
Correct.
So, okay, yeah, it's a draw or you win.
Yes.
I agree. 15% of Americans believe they could beat a king cobra in a fight.
Are we getting... Is this ordered by percentage of Americans who think they could beat it? Okay.
Sorry.
No, I'm amazed that maybe they have a different win condition in mind than me.
Yeah. Okay, a kangaroo. And I'm thinking like those big red kangaroos, not the little gray kangaroos or a wallaby.
Are the big red kangaroos the one that they used to box back in the 1920s before animal cruelty laws existed?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know enough about a kangaroo. I've seen photos of like the
big jacked.
the jacked kangaroo, and I'm like, I don't know if I can beat that.
I think it's pretty easy to hold them off. You just on their throat. And they'll go back on their tail to kick you because that's how they fight.
Yeah, if they stay, you don't want them to kick you.
But if you're holding them out like this and like leaning, your body away from them, you can hold them off so they can't actually reach you. I've seen Australians doing that.
That's what I was going to say. As an American, I probably could not beat a kangaroo.
I have 100% confidence that an Australian could.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like most Australians are going to be like, yeah, that's essentially like you fighting a deer. Yeah.
So kangaroo is a little iffy for Americans, but 14% of Americans think that they can beat a kangaroo.
Okay.
Okay, a wolf.
Hell no.
Okay.
Well.
How big do wolves get?
I was like, a timber wolf? No.
70 to 145 pounds.
Yeah. Oh, is that it?
Yeah, that's right.
Like a timber wolf is only 145 pounds?
I don't know. That says larger wolves are found in the northern regions, while southern tend to be smaller.
Yeah, that's everything.
A gray wolf is 70 to 115 pounds. Not as big as I thought.
What is that range? I guess that's south to north?
Yeah, female and male too. Females are a lot smaller than the males.
Okay.
Okay, can you beat a 175-pound wolf?
Absolutely not.
Can you beat a 75-pound wolf? Yes.
Probably.
So that one's iffy.
Yeah.
12% of Americans think they could beat a wolf.
Okay.
Crocodile.
No, I live in Michigan.
If you were a Florida man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is the same thing as the kangaroo. If I'm from Louisiana, if I'm from Florida, yeah, I could probably beat a crocodile. I am not. I have winter here, so I do not know how to deal with large reptiles.
I think I could beat a crocodile. I've watched enough Crocodile Hunter.
Yeah.
If you just get on top of them, and once you pin their jaws shut, they can't open them. It's their closing.
Yeah.
Is extremely powerful, but their opening, you just hardly any pressure, and they can't open their mouth.
You think it's like the snake then? Like you just have to. It's all about that first move. If I can wrap my arms around your jaws, I'm okay. It's gonna start death rolling.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're not in water.
Yes, in water I could not.
Yeah.
On land, I think I might be able to take a crocodile.
Are crocodiles the ones that have like the better stance on land? Okay, because
so alligators are always on their belly, but crocodiles will stand up.
Yeah. Crocodile is scary when it stands up. You're like, wow, that is a buff lizard.
Yeah.
An alligator would be easier than a crocodile, but the question was crocodile.
Yeah, alligators are not as large or as aggressive as crocodiles.
Okay.
So. Okay.
Also, yeah, crocodiles get big.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I probably know.
Okay, 9% of Americans think they could beat a crocodile.
Okay.
Okay, a gorilla. So we've already talked about this a lot.
Hard no.
Hard no for us, but 8% of Americans think they could take on a gorilla and win.
I appreciate their confidence, and I will miss them.
This next one cracks me up. An elephant.
No. How do you even go about that?
I don't know, right? That is just, we're so outclassed by an elephant. They just gotta stomp you, pick you up with their trunk. There's so many ways an elephant can take you out.
How do you fight an elephant in any way without any sort of tool? There's nothing you can do.
8% of Americans think they can do it.
We live entirely because the elephants do not want to take over.
Mm-hmm. There's just not enough of them either, to take over the world. But, yeah.
Yeah.
I do not understand how 8% of people in America think they could beat an elephant.
This 8% of Americans, these are the people you want on the front line, I guess. These are the people that are going to charge in the first wave of the gorilla fight.
Yes. All right. A lion.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Nope. Big claws, big teeth. I don't understand 8% of Americans. Again.
It's just ain't going to be 8% the whole way down the rest of the list, isn't it?
8% of Americans are insane and delusional.
You know what? I agree with that stat.
That actually might be a little low. I would say more than 8% of Americans are insane and delusional. Okay, this next one might surprise you. Grizzly bear.
No.
Okay, yeah, so no. There's no beating a grizzly bear. They're terrifying.
Yeah.
They will eat you while you're still alive, or they'll just bite your head down and crunch your skull and kill you.
Yeah, you can't.
They're terrifying. There's no fighting a grizzly bear.
That's about like fighting an elephant. You can't really do anything to a grizzly bear. 6%
of Americans think they can fight a grizzly bear and win, which means that 2% of Americans think they could beat a gorilla, an elephant, and a lion, but not a grizzly bear.
Yeah, I wonder what about a grizzly bear made them suddenly have common sense.
Yeah. I feel like I would rather fight a grizzly bear than an elephant, just because of mass. I don't want to fight either. I'm not going to win either, but...
I don't want to fight either of those things. I would rather fight the elephant than the grizzly bear. I'm gonna lose either way, it's just...
The elephant will not start eating your entrails while you're still alive. That's a good point. I'd rather fight the elephant, because I'm not winning, so I want to go out as fast as possible.
Yeah, that's fair. The elephant is gonna be a fast victory for the elephant.
But it baffles me that there's 2% of Americans that were like, elephant, yes. Lion, yes. But grizzly bear, no, I might lose that fight.
Right.
That's baffling to me.
Is that the end of the list?
Yeah, that is the end of the list, but
So at the end of the list, 2% of Americans are like, I gotta calm down.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now they did have stats about whether so which animals could you beat in a fight? Not only did they pull Americans for this, but they pulled British people.
Okay.
And I don't know if the British people are more sensible or they just are not as aggressive or not as confident. But they were all lower than the Americans' percentages.
What's the biggest predator they have? Sorry, did you say European or British?
British.
Okay, what's the biggest predator they have over there? Is it a wolf?
Bears. I think bears extinct over there now.
Do they have bears?
They did at some point.
I didn't know that.
I think. Okay, currently no bears live in the UK, but the European brown bear was once lived there, but went extinct around 1,000 years ago. 1,000 years ago? They haven't had bears in a very long time.
Right? I mean, 1,000 years ago is like the,
1000s.
Yeah, the 1000s. I was trying to figure out how to say that. The thousands. Which I guess is the way you'd say it, but it sounds weird.
Year 1000?
Yeah, so, King Arthur and all them took them out.
Okay, but do they even have wolves anymore?
I don't know. I literally Googled it just now, and the AI overview, which I don't trust at all, said the largest land predator in the UK is the European badger.
I think I might have read that somewhere else, too.
Is it? Did they not have wolves anymore?
Hunted to extinction in the 18th century.
Okay, so I'm wondering if they don't have the experience to deal with large predators because the largest predator in the UK is currently a 8 to 12 kilogram badger.
Yeah, I think I read something, like, this was a while ago, so I can't remember, but I was shocked to find out that the largest predators in the UK were badgers and foxes.
Huh. If you don't have experience, avoiding a goddamn bear, maybe you don't have the confidence to fight one. It's like us with kangaroos. They're like, oh, what do you mean you can't pick up your large predators? Yeah.
Anyways, so, yeah, I thought that list was a little bit insane because people were not as confident about the small animals as I thought they would be, but they were way more confident about the big animals than I thought they'd be.
Right. I guess we fall into the middle of that list.
All right, you guys let us know what the biggest animal you think you could beat in a fight is in the comments, because I want to know. All right, I have another scenario about animal fights from the internet for you.
Okay.
I'm going to list off groups of animals. You get to choose 2 groups to protect you, and the rest are going to be rage-filled and attack you.
Okay, yeah, this is a classic.
Yeah. You choose 2 of the following groups to protect you. They will follow basic commands and will protect you with their lives if necessary. The rest are bloodlusted and will stop at nothing to kill you. Your choices are an average human male with a rifle and unlimited ammo, 3 male grizzly bears, 4 male lions, 5 male silverback gorillas, 7 adult bulls, 10 saltwater crocodiles, 15 adult gray wolves, 50 adult female golden eagles with 7-foot wingspans, or 10,000 large brown rats weighing 1 pound each. 2 of those groups will defend you, and the rest will attack you.
Yeah.
Which ones do you want on your team?
You think 10,000 rats.
Obviously, you want that one on your team because there's no defending against that.
There's no defending against the swarm of 10,000 rats. I don't even know if I need to pick a second defender. 10,000 rats? That can do... 10,000 rats is enough to conquer an army. Are you kidding?
I think someone did the math and it was like 300 and some rats per other animal.
Oh, yeah, 300 some rats can take down an elephant. Are you kidding? And the elephants aren't even in this fight.
Okay, so obviously you want the rats on your side.
Yeah.
What else do you want on your side?
I think I take the human with the rifle.
Yeah, because he only needs...
He's the only one with a projectile. I don't want him coming after me.
He only needs 1 good shot to take you out.
Yeah. So you take him because he can one-shot anything else with a good hit.
Now, I do think it matters, and there's many different versions of this.
Yeah.
But it matters what is your surroundings and environment. Like, what is the parameters of this fight?
I don't think it matters with this list. Those are the 2 I want. I want the guy with the gun, and I want the rats. Literally, name a scenario where you don't want those.
I don't know. I'm thinking, like, you could get, like, how far away is the guy with the rifle? Because if you just line up, everybody charges him, so he's busy shooting them instead of you. I bet they could take him out.
I guess. Like, what kind of rifle?
Okay, this one scenario is more specific. It says armed with the Ruger American rifle.
Okay.
I have no idea what that is.
Has a 4-round capacity. So 4 rounds and he has to reload. I'm not sure which of the large animals can get close enough to this guy. I guess the wolves, because there's 15 of them.
See, it entirely depends on how close you are to him starting out.
Yeah. It does. You can send off, if you send off a pack of wolves to charge him blindly, they'll probably be okay. But that doesn't matter because you've got 10,000 rats. If you send 10,000 rats at this guy, of course you're gonna win.
Can the rats get to him before he starts shooting and taking out you, though?
Apparently, you can just send 5. If he's super far away, you send 5,000 rats after him. You still have 5,000 rats hanging around with you.
Take out the lions and grizzly bears and gorillas and bulls and crocodiles and wolves and eagles. Ooh, how did the rats take out the eagles?
I mean, the eagles have to come down at some point. You just stand there and you throw 5,000 rats at the eagos whenever
you're just picking up rats and chucking them at the eagle?
Sure. I don't know, 5,000 rats can form some sort of strange ladder and get them.
They're not ants. I don't know. I feel like gorillas might be a good thing to have on your side, too. They'll just tear through everything and rip limbs off of everything.
I know you're trying to make this more interesting for our discussion by devil's advocating the other categories, and the answer is no every time. Man with gun, 10,000 rats. There's no scenario where those two aren't the right choice.
Okay, actually, a zoo weighed in on this.
A zoo weighed in on this?
Yeah, and they say eagles and rats, and a lot of people concur. There's a lot of eagles and a lot of rats. Eagles take out the eyes and blind everybody. Rats gnaw the rest.
Okay.
It also removes 2 of the most dangerous groups from the equation, as flight and a horde of 10,000
yeah,
are hard to beat with other options.
Okay, what the zoo has not thought about is that I can take 1,000 of my rats and form a rat armor suit. I swarm myself with rats, and I am unreachable in my rat armor.
How many rats do you need between you and the shooter to, like, how many rats is the round going to go through before it stops?
That depends heavily on the gun. This is a deer hunting gun. In the scenario you sent me, in the link to the gun they sent, this is for a deer, so maybe bullet goes, you hit the deer right, it could go through a deer. I guess the thickness of it, maybe that thick of rats.
So, I don't know, like 7 or 8 rats?
Yeah.
I think it'd take more than that.
Okay, well, 10,000 rats.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so let's assume I don't get the guy with the gun. Then yes, you take the eagles, because it's just a numbers game at this point.
Yeah.
10,000 rats, you mound them up in front of you and make like a bulletproof mound and hunker down behind it.
How many rats do you think that would take?
You could easily do it with a few thousand, right? You've got a surplus
10,000.
of rats.
So you use like 3,000 to make a wall, a haystack of rats, if you will, to hide behind.
How many cubic feet is 10,000 rats?
I don't know. I don't think Google is going to tell you the answer to that.
No, I want to know how many cubic feet. How many cubic feet is a rat?
This is ridiculous.
No, this is important. So 6 to 10 inches. We're not counting tail length. And their height is around 2.4 to 3.5. So, like, let's say they're small rats. They're 6 inches long and 2.5 feet, inches around.
Okay.
They're tubes in this scenario, for this math. We're getting into math, YouTube. I'm sure this is a very interesting video. This is not good, YouTube.
Each rat is about 30 cubic inches.
Would it be about
51 cubic feet for 3,000 rats? So assuming you make a little haystack of rats in front of you with like 3,000 of your rats, that still leaves 7,000 rats to go swarm things.
Yes. I think the rat defense is undefeatable. And then it just becomes, are you confident enough that this man can't get a shot off on you while your eagles or your rats hunt him down? But 100% rats. That's insane not to pick rats. How many eagles do you think it takes to pick me up? Can the eagles carry me away from the horrible swarm of rats?
I don't know. Theoretically, no, because their wings would all get tangled up together.
I guess.
You'd need, like, ropes.
Yeah, I've got enough ropes that I can create some sort of flying contraption for me and my rifle buddy. And we can fly around in the air and just patiently fire down.
I don't know. Also, I see gorillas just picking up rats and throwing them at you.
Oh, no. They took my strategy.
Okay, well, that was an interesting debate.
Yeah, although it was a little one-sided once you added the rats. You could have said 100 rats, and I might have still taken the rats.
100 rats is only, like...
I guess.
2 rats per thing. Per other animal.
Yeah. I don't know, I just don't want to deal with rats. Maybe this is why so many people didn't think they could beat a rat in a fight. It's not a pleasant fight.
Nobody wants to touch them. Ew.
Right?
I don't mind a rat. I like rats.
How clean is the rat?
That's true. I do not like feral rats.
Yeah.
I like pet rats.
Yeah.
But I don't know. If the eagles are on the other side, you need to be in, not just behind that haystack of rats to protect you from the hunter. You need to be in the middle of it so the eagles can't get to you.
I mean, if you know where the hunter is, you can weigh the wall, right? You don't need as thick of a wall of rats on the side that the eagles are coming from. So, yeah, with 10,000 rats, you can very easily make some sort of bunker or mobile armor suit made entirely of rats. I am Iron Rat.
How do you... Rat. A suit made of writhing rats. They need to make, like, a super villain for, like, a Marvel or DC super villain.
Do you mean Squirrel Girl?
Is that a thing?
She's not a villain, she's a hero, and she has defeated Thanos in a one-on-one fight because she swarmed him with squirrels.
How many squirrels does Squirrel Girl have, and does she wear them as armor?
She has infinite squirrels.
Does she, like,
she talks to squirrels and can summon them. And I don't know if she has any. She has, like, squirrel level abilities.
But when you say summon them, like, because how long would it take me to be like, send out a squirrel call and summon all the squirrels in the neighborhood and them all to run to me? Or does she magically summon? Okay, that seems not as impressive as, like, poof, squirrel just appears in midair.
I think you're going to be surprised just how many squirrels exist in a square radius in the Marvel universe. Because it's enough to completely swarm Thanos and let him have a horrible fate.
Okay, hold on. How many squirrels live per square mile?
Yeah.
Okay, it varies widely from 25 to 125 squirrels per square mile.
Uh-huh.
But how long does it take a squirrel to run a mile to get to you? You've got to gather these squirrels way ahead of time and keep them with you. You can't just be like, mid-fight, be like, squirrel power! Squirrels, come to me! Because they will take way too long to get to you and help you.
Uh-huh.
You need to be like, hey, I'm going to have a fight in like an hour. Let's summon the squirrels now. I don't think Squirrel Girl's squirrel power is as useful as you think.
I don't know. I'm just saying, swarming powers are strong.
Not if it takes too long to summon your swarm. How do you personally feel about wearing a rat suit of writhing, swarming rats? Do they hold still on you, or are they all just climbing over each other?
Just for the visual effect, the rats need to be continuously writhing around you in the vague shape of a human, because it just looks way more cool. More badass.
Than just rats just clinging and staying still. Yeah, that's not very impressive.
That just looks like you don't have an animation budget. No, you need a writhing form of rats that
it looks like you're wearing a dead squirrel coat, and that's not as cool as alive, writhing, massive squirrels.
Correct.
Or rats.
Yeah.
We got off
rodents.
Rodents.
Yeah. So that's the strategy. Yeah, is a vaguely human-shaped power suit made entirely of writhing rats.
So yeah, I kind of think the 10,000 rats, and it doesn't really matter what else you pick, because nothing's going to beat that.
No, nothing beats the rats.
Your rat suit, and then sending off the rest to swarm everybody else.
Yep.
So
it's offense and defense. It's way too powerful.
All right, we can't keep fighting about this all day, so I'm going to call it.
Yeah, that's fair. Bye.
Bye.